Hello, and welcome to GovTech Viewpoints. My name is Terry Takai, and I'm excited to be here with you, but I'm also excited to have HP's Todd Gustafson on with us for another interesting and fun conversation. Now, just a reminder, each episode of GovTech Viewpoints explores one big question facing state and local government decision makers as they're adopting this next generation of technologies. Todd and I are going to be breaking down these latest news and biggest trends. And today, Todd, what we want to talk about is really the big issue that seems to be out there, which is around the workforce of the future. Now, certainly AI is a big component of that, but we are seeing a lot of forces that are really talking about how government workforces are going to change and what government leaders need to do. So what are some of the things that you're seeing out there in the market, and how do you see this world changing?
It is changing. And if I think about my career, it was the PC and then the internet and then the mobile phone. And today it's AI, right? And it's frankly pretty exciting, right? I think there's a lot of unknowns. And then I would say a thin layer and growing layer of knowns and adoptions. And our customers are facing it in the government. We are facing it internally. My family is facing it. All of us is doing this. And I think we're all learning along the way. But I think there's a couple what I would consider to be forcing functions that are out there. One is there's what I would say is a growing trend, particularly in the federal space, on return to the office. And that return to the office creates a whole set of opportunities. It creates a whole set of challenges. And so that's number one. And then number two, I would say, along with AI, is what happens with the data, right? Where does it go? Who controls it? How do we have adequate levels of controls over PII in terms of that? And we're dog fooding it, if you will, here inside of HP. And so let me give you an example, if you will, is at least at HP, we have provided all of our customer-facing folks across the world with AI-enabled PCs.
Wow.
Because if we expect our customers to be able to understand it, we should too. And the very first thing that I do as a user is I use Copilot every single day. And frankly, I likely use Copilot every 30 minutes or every 60 minutes in my adoption. And simple little things like capturing meeting notes, capturing action items, scheduling, simple little things that may seem to be routine for all of us that are certainly time savers. We think about customer communication in terms of it being a very manual process before that. But what if we could use AI to inform you when orders were either accelerated, delayed because of logistics potentially? But how can we take out the manual aspect of what we're doing and do that? One of the probably most exciting things that is very real in terms of AI is what's happening with data scientists. There are a couple of key elements in order for them to be successful in environments. The first is they're all dealing with large language models. In a lot of cases, they're creating their own models, and they're not shared, they're not replicated, they're not leveraged across environments. So there are tools out there that allow data scientists to, if you will, plagiarize existing models so that they can be reused. That saves time. That's number one. As importantly, all of us are making massive investments into GPUs. And those GPUs have fits and starts, though they're being used at a very high propensity at sometimes, and then they're idle. And now there's technology out there that allows organizations to be able to think about this as the old term carpet clustering computing, right? Take that available computing that's at the edge and make it available for the broader user community to take advantage of. So it's almost like every day, Terry and team, that things are changing and evolving, and I think will create remarkable opportunities for everyone that embraces it as opposed to sees it as a potential hindrance.
I love that, Todd. You know, one of the things that I particularly like about what you were saying is that sometimes when we talk about AI, we talk about how we as IT professionals are going to deliver AI into the rest of the business. We don't talk about how AI is going to make our roles different. And, I love the fact that you were talking about how you're going to reach out to customers, because what I'm hearing, and actually heard from one of the state CIOs, is that, some of her folks are using it to write those emails and actually make them better and make employees more productive in that. So I think that's some of the things that they're seeing. I'm sure you're seeing some of the same things just within your own team.
Hey, I'm fortunate to work with a really large team. And as you might imagine, we're growing. And simple little things like helping write an introductory email to the broader organization used to require us sitting in front of a blank screen and typing out. Now it's so simple. I obviously just did this and used Copilot to help draft it for me. And frankly, it was 10 times better than I could ever write on my own. And because it had been trained on my language, the way I talk, it used my own approach in terms of how
Scary, isn't it?
So it's, I always wonder what it's thinking about me, but nonetheless, it's incredibly efficient. And what I would say is there are, I think, two different camps, Terry, is those who are afraid of it, worried about what it would do to them, looking over their shoulder in terms of, am I replaceable? Or a whole other camp, which is, how do I embrace it? How does it make me better and more efficient? And so for those listeners that are thinking about this as a risk for their opportunity, I suggest that you do a 180 on this and see it as a broad opportunity for you to elevate your game. For those of you who are serving constituents in government, I think it's a perfect opportunity. And there likely will be what I would say strong benefits, and then there'll likely be failures along the way. But that's part of learning and part of growing and part of making it real. I think the bigger issue, though, Terry, as we talked about earlier, is the security aspect of it, right? And how do you do this on-prem in a way that protects particularly health-related information, pay, those kind of things are super important. And so there needs to be a level of controls that the industry can help you with.
Right. Yeah, so those are some of the ethical and privacy considerations that we always talk about. And I think the way that you framed it, Todd, is that now becomes each individual's responsibility to make sure that we're using the technology responsibly. It's not sort of just the privacy officer is going to worry about it, the chief information security officer is going to worry about it. It really now becomes a part of all of us in the actions that we're taking every day, to really make that difference.
Let me just give you a quick example. Inside of HP, we're required to change our password every 90 days. Very manual process, required a lot of folks. With AI agents now, it's a completely systemic approach. It takes literally seconds to be able to do and requires no manual intervention. So think about how that might improve our constituents' ability to engage with us, or us to engage with our colleagues inside the workforce in a way that is beneficial. And that's just a really simple kind of basic type of approach on how we go do that. And so there's so many elements of that. Let me give you just one more example, if I could, Terry. You likely have a notebook in front of you that you're using, and you may have discovered that you've left it plugged in for, let's just say you weren't traveling this week. It's been plugged in for a week. How about an AI agent that says you should unplug your notebook in order to achieve the best possible efficiency for your battery from a longevity for the next 3 hours? In the past, what we would have discovered was the battery degradation would have started to fail. But how do we proactively give you those tools based upon an AI algorithm that you need to condition your battery better? A real simple example, but those are the kind of applications that are going to be with us for now and certainly in the future.
Well, even that, Todd, is an efficiency, because when I have to change my password, it's like, I either put it off or it takes time during my day. And, this little things. One of the CIOs was saying that her group actually found that it could save as much as an hour a day with just some of these tasks that we don't think take up a lot of time, but they really do. I think another aspect that I could see is for the entire workforce, not just in the certain demographics, it's really going to help to improve job satisfaction because you aren't going to have these routine things. And maybe even have people think about it's going to make them happier with what they're doing. And so you get kind of that talent retention as well.
I would add, so I totally agree with you. I would add on, it's becoming, I go to my alma mater a lot, and I speak to students that are in the university and about to enter the workforce. And what's really changed quite a bit is it's not going to be what you know, but how do you perform in a way that leverages processes and thought processes as opposed to what you know, right? And so that rote learning is basically going away, and the ability to collaborate and engage in a way, leveraging these new tools is the way it's going to be. And so think about the way that you and I learned how to take advantage of the internet. Sorry, I'm aging myself. But that's think about where our world would be today without the internet. And it's going to be that same type of thought process, if you think about AI as it is today, quantum computing, where that may be in the next few years. Just yesterday, we heard from NVIDIA that said computing power must improve by 100x over the next 2 years in order to be efficient. 100 times computing power, right? Kind of a mind-blowing statistic, if you will, but that's the pace that we're on.
Absolutely. And we're seeing companies make those kinds of strides. They're kind of hidden sometimes. We don't really realize it's happening. But to your point, Todd, nobody could ever imagine living without the internet now. I mean, absolutely. Now it's a given. In fact, when I talk to individuals, kind of young people, they kind of say there was a life before the internet, and now that's going to become there was a life before AI. Rob Lloyd, who's the CTO in Seattle, has said AI is a culture shift, and it's actually going to change, the way the work processes are done, which then mean it's going to change our jobs and the way that we do our jobs.
Well, I would add on to that, Terry, which is, here's how this is going to go. I suggest organizations and government groups or whatever it might be, take advantage of everything that has to offer your colleagues in the industry, other states, other municipalities, CTOs from companies that you've never done business with. Fill your head with as much knowledge as you possibly can, because what I would tell you is not one size fits all. There will be lots of different innovation that's happening in the marketplace. And as personally as a consumer of everything I can possibly read every day, I think it's important that you might change your perspective on we've done it this way always, and be very open and encouraging on change.
But you've said something in there, Todd, that I want to emphasize, and that is that in my experience in trying to learn these things, it's a continual learning, because as you get into it and you learn one thing, it kind of helps you to get to the next step and the next step and the next step. And back to your NVIDIA point, things are going to be changing at such a rapid rate that it isn't I'm going to learn how to use an AI tool. It's I'm going to learn how to use one. I'm going to continue to learn how to use it, but then I'm going to be able to go on to the next tool and the next tool. So it's absolutely what you just said. It isn't a one-time thing. It's kind of a continual shift in the way that we look at the way we do our jobs.
And CIOs and CTOs are now what I would consider to be major power brokers with regards to how organizations are going to be transformed. As important as presidents and other senior leaders. And so I encourage our listeners, if you will, to embrace this opportunity, because I think it's frankly, a once in a lifetime opportunity to really make positive change for your organizations and for general humans.
Well, fantastic comment, Todd. And I think that that's a perfect comment to leave our audience with. So thank you for listening to GovTech Viewpoints. Now be sure to subscribe to the series on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Spotify, so you never miss one of our really exciting conversations. Now join us the next time, because Todd, the next time we're going to be talking about the role of cybersecurity, and cybersecurity as not an inhibitor to innovation, but an actual enabler. We're going to talk about the evolution of cybersecurity and its growing importance in really supporting all new innovations and all new technologies. So that's going to be our next conversation, Todd. And I think it's really going to be a lot of fun, and as much fun as what we've had today. So Todd, I look forward to seeing you the next time on GovTech Viewpoints.
Have a great day.